News and Views with Tom Lamprecht. The stories you've heard and the ones you need to hear.
Can't get this baby formula.
This is not a third world country. This should never happen in the United States of America.
The baby's crying. The baby's hungry. We need to address it right now.
January 6th.
The committee will go wherever we need to go to get to the facts.
Want to go after their political opponents?
Issue subpoenas.
Delay Ukraine aid.
We don't want to see them fail, but we have problems right here at home.
Twitter deal on hold.
Your life, your values, your voice. This is News and Views with Tom Lamprecht on
Talk about today. We've got another candidate for you to be introduced to, Brent Robertson, who's running along with 7 other people for the 1st Congressional District. He'll be joining us in just a little bit. So the opening bumper that Clark put together was a lot in there about baby formula. What's unbelievable is that the Hildebeest, Hillary Clinton, is now coming out and accusing Republicans of wanting babies to starve because they're upset that while American moms and dads can't get formula to feed their babies, we're shipping hundreds of pallets of formula down to the border and giving them away to the illegal immigrants. And Hillary Clinton has now taken that fact and said, oh, these Republicans want to starve babies because they want to take that formula away from these poor babies coming across the border. I mean, this is classic progressive crap. I mean, think about this. These horses' rear ends, I mean, first of all, you embrace an open borders policy. Then once the illegals get here, you insist that they get all types of benefits, that you're going to thrust upon them debit cards, you're going to give them free phones, you're basically going to say, here's your free health care, here's money to go out and get a place to live, we'll put you up in a hotel, where do you want to live, we'll put you on a plane and fly you there. So what happens? We're inundated with all these people coming across the border. Heaven forbid they stay in Mexico, the stay in Mexico policy. No, they got to come over here. And then the clueless progressives have no idea how they're going to pay for it. They don't know, and frankly, they don't care how we're going to pay for it. I mean, at best, they're ignorant. At worst, they're deliberately trying to bankrupt the country, which is what they want. I mean, they think we're evil. Let's bankrupt us. We want to become like Russia or North Korea. That's the unbelievable ignorance or the unbelievable traitors that these progressives are. So they get their open borders, their illegal policies have been ensured, and then they call Republicans heartless because we would say, yes, American citizens ought to take priority over these illegals. And I would say that. Now, that doesn't mean I'm heartless and I want to see these babies die. No. But when moms and dads that are American citizens, that are hardworking taxpayers, can't get formula, but there's pallets of it down at the border, yes. I would say that the American moms and dads ought to come in first place on that one. But, here's another thought. Hillary, you call them heartless and want babies to starve. You raked in millions and millions and millions of dollars to your Clinton Foundation. Why don't you take that money, go out and buy a couple of plane loads of formula from Europe and have it shipped down to the border? I mean, do you want to see babies die, Hillary?
Mm-hmm. It's typical, Democrats and the Clintons. I mean, they're right in there typical. They always point to Republicans. They're talking about, Republicans aren't compassionate, and they talk about, hey, Republicans are pro-life for unborn babies, but not pro-life for other babies. It's typical nonsense. And when I saw what she said today, I said, and she was not even challenged on that statement. No. It just kills me. And the fact that, what's going on the border right now is right at the feet of the President of the United States and the Democrat Party, and it's intentional.
Conservatives said for a long time, what you're doing is going to harm these illegal people, these illegal immigrants that are coming up to the border. It's going to harm them. And this is Exhibit A. Now, what does she do? Oh, the Republicans are heartless. They want to see babies die. And again, your point, I mean, Hillary's a part of the death culture. She doesn't care less about babies, whether they live or die. I mean, she's all for Roe v. Wade being the law of the land and having having abortions up to 9 months, and even after the child is born. She and Ralph Northam, they're birds of a feather.
And to your point on the Clinton Foundation, I mean, well documented, the Clinton Foundation basically imploded right after the election. All it was just a false foundation for political payoffs and that type of thing. And when I looked at Hillary Clinton's financial disclosures back when she ran for president, and just before her income ramped up, just like Joe Biden's did, just before the election and a couple of years before the election, once she announced she was running, all that political payoffs, making millions to speak, her donations was just shocking. The donations that they made were always to these puff foundations that when you drill down and see what these foundations are, they're nothing more than political foundations, which is a bunch of horse manure. I mean, she
Keep it PG.
There's not an ounce of compassion in her arse at all.
No.
Each year on my birthday, every American gets a cupcake.
It looks like she's had too many daggone cupcakes.
Yeah, she's been eating a little too many of those
Back off the cupcakes, Thunder Thighs.
But, and again, the people that donated to the Clinton Foundation, and they were just trying to buy their a higher place at the table because they thought she was going to win the presidency.
Well, the thing about it is, I mean, the Clintons taught the Obamas and the Bidens what it was to create a family crime.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they taught them.
Yeah, they were the godfathers.
When after the issue that Clinton had with the little rendezvous with Monica Lewinsky in the White House, they left the White House. They were freaking broke.
Yeah.
I mean, broke, and they have developed generational wealth once she started running for president. It's.
And you're right. And they've taught
swamp.
the Obamas and they've taught the Bidens well.
Yep.
On a happier note, WNCT is reporting the baseball field at Guy Smith Stadium has officially been renamed for the man who is Mr. Baseball here in Greenville. We're talking about Ronald Vincent, RV.
How about that? That's
He
great.
has been coaching since 1973. I think, he is the all-time winningest coach in North Carolina high school baseball history.
Mm-hmm.
And so Guy Smith Stadium, which is being used more and more. My grandsons in Little League, sometimes they practice out near the stadium because there's a couple of fields out there, and it's beginning to get a lot more use than it has in the past. But, it's going to be renamed in honor of RV. So congratulations. Hard to believe that he has been coaching baseball out there at Rose High School since 1973.
He's a legend.
He is. And he's well known across the state. Did you see down in New Bern today? If you've ever driven into New Bern or out of New Bern and you come across that new section of highway, it's not that new now, and of course the folks down in New Bern are all familiar with it. But
the bypass that goes to 17 further down 17?
Yeah, it intersects 17 and 70, and it goes up over the river,
right.
And pretty high up. Mm-hmm. Did you see where a truck drove off that earlier today at 9 o'clock this morning?
No, I did not.
A truck went through the concrete barrier and fell 50 feet. The driver is up here at Vidant now.
Wow.
But he's lived to tell about it. Apparently, it sounds bizarre. It dropped 50 feet onto the road below. What was the name of the road that goes underneath there? It's I think it's Holloman or something like that.
Yeah.
But it, fortunately for the driver, it landed on the back of the truck. Although the cab was pretty well smashed in. I don't know if it flipped over after that, but. Wow, you talk about this guy, the cat that had 9 lives. This guy has got to be saying his prayers of thanksgiving tonight big time. It is amazing that that a driver, even in a truck, now it wasn't a tractor trailer, but I think it was a flatbed, and crashed through Howell Road was the name of the road below there. Howell Road.
Yeah, I'm texting somebody in New Bern now, see if we can get a live report.
There you go. It happened this morning, and apparently they've already got the road reopened. Although, FYI, next week that portion of the highway is going to be shut down for a little bit. Oh yeah, if you're watching on Facebook or on Cable 7, there's a picture of the truck. And look how far he dropped on there. I mean, that looks like more than 50 feet. That is amazing that the driver of that survived. Now, no word on yet why it happened, how it happened, but
you think when he was going over that bridge, the pucker factor was pretty high?
Well, it'd be interesting to find out whether or not his life flashed before his eyes.
Oh my goodness!
Because wow, yeah, to survive that, unbelievable. This is an interesting story. I actually had this in the pile on Wednesday, and we didn't get to it. And of course, we were off yesterday. But it's really interesting. The double standard in Major League sports, and there's two great examples of this. One in the Major League Baseball and other in the NBA. Now, what's interesting is, remember back to Major League Baseball this last year, we were going to have the All-Star game down in Atlanta, and because of the voting laws down there, and by the way, even though the voting laws were implemented, more people voted in these last elections than had ever voted in Georgia before, but nonetheless, Major League Baseball said, this is, and Joe Biden said, this is 2.0 of how to refer to it, but racism all over again, and Jim Crow 2.0.
Jim Crow 2.0, yeah, that was ridiculous.
And so they took they took the All-Star game away from Atlanta, took it over to Colorado. Atlanta, which is a predominantly African-American city, took it over to Denver, which is, there's 2% African-American population in Denver. But they did it because they said, this is, this is mistreating people. Now the Major League Baseball is talking about having some games over in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, as is the NBA.
Right.
Now, remember, the NBA took away the All-Star game from Charlotte a few years ago because of the bathroom bill.
Mm-hmm.
Now, explain to me how you can take the NBA and have some games over in the United Arab Emirates where they throw homosexuals off of buildings.
Yeah.
Where it's a capital crime to be a homosexual.
And then China, the NBA is basically ruled by China.
Yeah.
And the atrocities that happen to anyone in China that's not part of the Communist Party, it's just amazing.
But
hypocrisy.
both Major League Baseball and the NBA have already announced games over in the UAE, and just the hypocrisy. Again, we hate America, and because we're going to have election laws with integrity, we're going to punish Atlanta. Because we want to protect our women here in North Carolina and not have men entering into the bathrooms, we're going to move the All-Star game out of Charlotte, and yet a country that will take you out and shoot you if you're a homosexual, or stone you or flog you or whatever they want to do to you, that's okay. Unbelievable.
Well, it's another issue of these large corporations, institutions. They just kowtow to this stuff. They're afraid to death to be labeled racist, homophobic, or whatever, and the individuals, people have got to start standing up. Hey, I could start naming them. I've upset some people, but we've got some organizations here in town that are just like that. They will, the flavor of the day, they will just jump on it, just solely, following the others with all this woke mentality. And it's time for people to just say, hey, it's enough. I mean, if it's a corporation that you do business with and they jump in this, you say, look, I'm not doing business with you anymore, period.
Well, this is interesting you bring that up. Go woke, go broke. Have you seen the news stories out just today that Netflix, who in the last quarter lost 200,000 listeners or subscribers?
Viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Subscribers.
200,000. Now, you might say, well, 200,000. That's a significant amount of your you stop and think about what your profit margin is, and you take away. I don't know what the total subscriptions is to Netflix, but $200,000 or 200,000 subscribers. What does it cost to subscribe to Netflix? It's at least $10 a month, isn't it?
I don't even want to know. I know I've got it, but I don't even know.
But here's the thing: Netflix was really going woke. And of course, remember that wasn't it Netflix that hired the Obamas, and they were going to have all kinds of woke programming they're going to put in.
And they're okay with having to. You remember they had the little cheerleading. Little cheerleading thing with 12-year-old, 13-year-old girls half naked on it or whatever.
What's interesting is Netflix has realized, we're starting to lose things big time. So they have now redone their employee guide. And now their employee guide said, as employees, we support the principle that Netflix offers a diversity of stories, even if we find some titles counter to our own personal values. In other words, if you're part of the woke crowd and you think this is triggering you, shut up. We don't want to hear from you. They go on to say, depending on your role, you may need to work on titles you perceive to be harmful. Go on to say, quote, if you'd find it hard to support our content breadth, Netflix might not be the best place for you to be working.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
go woke, go broke.
Yeah, that might have a little bit to do with those 200,000 subscribers that left.
You think? And what's interesting is, Disney is starting to feel the pinch.
Well, I'm not going to ever advocate for somebody just to, hey, I don't like to boycott this, boycott that. But if you have a problem with anyone you do business with, just say, hey, I don't like it. I'm changing.
Well, it happens all the time.
Vote with your dollars.
You go to a restaurant and you have a bad meal and bad service, and you feel like, you know what? You might not go out and start a campaign against it, but you're not going back.
Well, there's a little restaurant up in the mountains. I won't say what it is, but I used to go all the time, little sandwich shop. And, when we're not doing this, I really don't want to talk politics with people. I really don't. And I was up there on a fly fishing trip, went in for lunch, and it happened to be when Donald Trump was here in Greenville. And she asked me, she'd seen me several times. She said, where are you from? I said, you're in here up here a couple of times a year. And I said, Greenville, North Carolina. You mean where Donald Trump is today? I said, yeah, from what I understand. Oh, my God, no wonder you're up here.
And that was up in the mountains of North Carolina?
Yeah, and I said...
they're usually conservative up there, more so than here.
Well...
Not this one, huh?
No, not when you get close to Watauga County. But I stopped there. I said, you know what? I enjoy coming to your shop, and I come up here every time I come up here. I said, but I don't like your politics. I didn't ask you your politics, and mine's none of your business. I said, you won't see me again.
Yeah, there you go.
And I hadn't been back.
Get out. Out.
Get out.
Hey, we're not taking time out. Stay with us. More news and views coming up.
Reserve it, then ride home in it at Greenville Toyota. Camrys, Corollas, Tundra trucks, RAV4s, and more are on the way. Reserve yours before it's gone. Plus, get more for your trade. Reserve and ride today at Greenville Toyota.
Hey, we're at Maribella's in Greenville, the new location of Maribella's on Fire Tower Road. If you haven't been to this place yet, let me tell you, you are missing out. I want to introduce my friends from Maribella's. I've got Sal, Massimo, and Pietro here. These guys are awesome. Not only do they make great food, they do a lot of things for the community, which we're going to be talking about. But Sal, let's start with you. Let's talk about the new location of Maribella's on Fire Tower Road. I'm a regular here. I love it. You guys call it Old World Pizza. Tell us what's different about your pizza.
Well, we got two kinds of pizzas. We have the traditional, American style, and then we have the Old World Pizza, which is made with fresh mozzarella, and the way they do it in Italy.
Massimo, when you talk about doing this food right, it's authentic. And when I talk about authentic, you grew up in Italy, so you grew up with this food. You know how to make it.
Yeah, because we grew up in Italy, we know the ingredient, and everything we do from scratch. And the right ingredient it's been hard for us to bring over here. Now finally we can get the right ingredient to make a right pizza.
All right, now I'm going to talk to my friend Pietro here at Maribella's. He's got the Nino's shirt on today. We're going to talk about Nino's, which is another great dining experience, upscale dining experience, on another segment upcoming. But Pietro, let's talk about Maribella's. For people who've never been to Maribella's, what's the experience going to be like when they come here? Not only pizzas, but pastas, salads, sandwiches, you got it all.
Yes, we do. We have new sandwiches that we put in this new location, and we're going to spread it to the other locations.
The guys here at Maribella's have won national pizza competitions, so you know it's good. thanks to Sal, Massimo, and Pietro. Folks, do yourself a favor. Come to the new Marabella's here on Fire Tower Road in Greenville, or Marabella's on Greenville Boulevard, or Marabella's in Washington on Carolina Avenue. Also, don't forget upscale dining at Nino's on Red Banks Road.
Reserve and ride your pre-owned vehicle at Greenville Toyota. Shop a huge selection of quality used cars, trucks, SUVs, even luxury models, all with no charge maintenance, plus a 100,000-mile used car warranty. Reserve and ride at Greenville Toyota.
The following show is very scary.
Are you superstitious about Friday the 13th?
What's the deal with Friday the 13th?
Nobody escapes unharmed.
Bill O'Reilly is a demon-possessed messenger of Satan.
I'm going up to Earth to rule alone.
Don't be frightened.
Just pull up the covers and stay in bed until Friday the 13th turns into Saturday the 14th.
Sounds spine tingly-dingling.
How far is it to Camp Crystal Lake?
It's fun to be scared, huh?
Friday the 13th. Were you aware of that? Today is Friday the 13th.
Be prepared with Talk 96.3 and 103.7. Now back to News and Views with Tom Lamprecht and Benny Hardy.
All right. Happy the Friday the 13th. That's right. Taking a look at your Friday the 13th weather forecast for tonight. Cloudy, occasional rain showers, low around 63. Tomorrow, showers and thunderstorms in the morning. And, well, it gets worse in the afternoon. What can I say? Thunderstorms pretty much all day long, a high around 80 degrees tomorrow. Chance of rain tomorrow, 80%. Tomorrow night, a low of 63 with chance of rain of 40%. We do get one good day out of the weekend. There's a chance of a stray shower, but otherwise sunshine and a high of 86 on Sunday. So you get half the weekend is pretty good weather.
That's going to feel hot.
86 and a rain shower, that's going to feel hot.
After cold, windy days this week.
A day of hot would sound pretty good to me. By the way, it's also National Apple Pie Day. I'll vote for that. Weather and apple pie brought to you by our friends at Ironwood Golf and Country Club. Warmer weather will be here this weekend anyway. What a better way to join the outside and the outdoors with family and friends than being poolside or greenside or tennis side. Voted best golf course in Greenville 3 years in a row, Ironwood Golf and Country Club is waiving all initiation fees. They want you to join in the fun and become a member today. Not a golfer? Ironwood's new social membership includes access to their competition-sized swimming pool, clay service tennis courts, and member-only full-service restaurant. For more information, contact Membership Director Jenna Doyle. Jenna's number is 752-4653, 752-4653. Brent Robertson from Williamston is one of the 8 candidates running for the 1st Congressional District. And Brent is in studio with us right now. Brent, welcome in. Good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Brent, I've heard your ads, and I know you're a strong Christian believer, and you really feel like the Lord has called you to run for this office. Tell us your story. There's a lot of folks that probably have heard your ads but don't really know you, the man. Tell us about your life story, your family, and exactly why you are running for Congress.
Well, like I say, you probably have heard the radio ad, and that's exactly 100% correct. I'm a logger, not a lawyer. Some people get mixed up when I say logger. They think I'm a lawyer, but I'm a logger and a contractor from Williamston. And I've never wanted to be a politician at all. But I was praying and complaining, just like the radio ad says. And the thought came to me, if you're not willing to do anything about it, stop complaining. So I sat there kind of in bewilderment, wondering what I should do. And finally I said, well, God, if you're asking me what shall I do? Well, who shall I send? Send Brent. So I got up and I walked in there and told my wife, I said, I'm running for Congress. And she's like, okay. She actually had the flu that day. So she didn't care what I told her that day. But she was like,
Did she actually know what you were saying when she come back a couple days later and said, what did you say?
She said she did, but I don't know if she really did or not.
So now that she's recovered from the flu, how does she feel about you being a congressman?
Oh, yeah, she's excited about it. She's a trooper. She's helping me out all she can.
Tell us about the rest of your family.
Well, I have a daughter. Like I say, my wife, we've been married for 21 years. And we have a daughter together, Mary Spencer. She is 19. She attends Ole Miss. And then we have a son, Liam. He is 16, and he goes to Lawrence Academy over in Mary Hill. And when he gets finished playing baseball in the afternoons, he climbs on a tractor and tends 125 acres. So that's his side job. Is he's actually a little farmer. So.
There you go. Now, is this your farm or is this the family farm? Okay.
It is.
Okay.
And like I say, I let him do that just so he realizes that he can work and not always get a paycheck at the end. So
from life lesson. From how you described it, I'm assuming this is the first time you've ever run for elected office.
Like I say, I'd never want to run for dog catcher. I never want to do anything. It's just the fact that I was praying, and I hadn't told a lot of the people this. Our country can't continue to erode with regard to morals like it has in the last 10 years and have a country that I want my kids to grow up in. So that's what I was actually praying about.
How long have you been a Republican?
My whole life, ever since I could register to vote. So I'm 51, since I was 18.
So you're going back into what, the early 80s when you first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back in the early 80s, by the way, did you vote for Lamprecht for state senate when I was running?
Maybe you weren't in my district.
I was. Williamston was in at the district.
He
at the
probably
time.
saw that name and said, "I'm not voting for that Yankee."
Just don't answer this way. So, on your website, you've got a bunch of issues that you obviously are important to you: national defense, immigration, border security, inflation, out of control spending, you're pro-life, religious liberty, Second Amendment, gun rights. Of those issues, if you had to pick one, what is the most important thing, and what is the keystone issue that affects all those other issues?
Oh, it's inflation right this second. I 100% think that we have to get our inflation under control because you're not secure if we don't have any money. And I was talking to a guy today, and he was telling me that for me not to be surprised if next week diesel fuel didn't hit $6 a gallon. Now, $6 a gallon diesel fuel to a lot of people doesn't matter. To loggers and farmers and contractors, it really matters, and it's going to matter to everybody else when they don't realize that because when those food line trucks start slowing down and stuff starts coming slower to your grocery store, then the inflation is going to continue to rise. So if we don't get a handle on that and get a handle quickly, there's going to be a snowball effect. Now, you got border security and stuff like that. That's a big issue, and everybody agrees with that. But right this second, if we don't get this inflation under control, like I said, it's just going to be tough.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good topic to lead to my question. Before the show, I was telling Tom that on the Washington Times today, there was opinion editor Dave Walker, that used to be Comptroller General of the United States under Clinton and Bush, has been he's been beating the drums for years. I've known him about the national debt issues and problems such as that, and stating the fact that basically we can't remain. Our security, the most important part of our security, is for us to stay a financial, economic power in the world, and it seems like Republicans and Democrats, during election time, they say a lot of things, but they don't do a lot of things. So on a specific issue, just this week, I'm just curious, it passed overwhelmingly, but what do you think about the $40 trillion Ukraine aid package that's passed the House, hadn't gone to the Senate yet? If Brent Robertson was in Washington, what would you do? What would you say about that?
So, that pulls on people's heartstrings because they want to do something, and we always want to give money away. But we don't really have the money to give away. And at some point, you're going to have to say no. So it's no different with the federal government as it is your family. If you don't have enough money and you can't afford it, you just can't afford it. So at some point, we're just going to have to say, no, we can't afford it. And that's what we're going to have to do regardless of who wins. We're going to have to rein our spending back under control. I tell people all the time, and y'all probably have heard this too, the spending we're doing now, our grandkids are going to pay for. Everybody's heard that. That's a ridiculous statement because we're the ones that teach them financial responsibility. If we're not financially responsible ourselves, we're not going to be able to pass that trade on to them. Therefore, they're not going to be able to pay their debt and ours. That's ridiculous. We have to get our spending under control.
And it's possible. I mean, there's a story out earlier this week on the Carolina Journal talked about the surplus that we're going to have. And I think they said that it's going to actually be $6.5 billion more than they anticipated.
In North Carolina, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, if a state can do it, why can't a country do it? And it's just a matter of the discipline. How do you convey that, though? You'd be one of 435. So how does one individual... Is it just another drop in the bucket? How do you approach that?
So I hope not. And that's what I tell people all the time. you have to go and you have to be able to build relationships with other like-minded people to get stuff done. If you're going to be a radical right or a radical left, you're not really going to be productive at anything. But if you can get there in the middle and talk to people with other like-minded, and don't compromise. But
that, I mean, it just, I just, if you look at this last, I know I'm getting off track here, but if you look at this Women Protective Health Act that they came voted for that, which would basically abortion anytime, anywhere up to the 9th month of the pregnancy, which, if it was up to the 9th.
It's crazy, but reach across the aisle.
And I don't mean to be argumentative with you, Brent. I mean, I like what you're saying, but I
like your optimism because, to your point, unfortunately, they want to demonize the other side on every issue. I mean, I think you got to have somebody that goes up there and say, okay.
But at the same time, being willing to reach across the aisle. That might be the deal. I don't know, but...
Yeah. You describe yourself as a conservative small business owner and a leader.
I say this all the time. Our politicians right now are nothing but reactive. They're just like the police. Social media to media and any social injustice right now. That's what they are leading. But then you're not a leader. Yeah. But if you can look to the future and see where we need to go as a country, then that makes a good leader.
Let's turn to, and I don't want to Monday morning quarterback the previous rep. First district is there's a lot of poor counties, a lot of people struggling and that type of thing. And I mean, I'd argue with him if he wanted to come on the show and argue with us. G.K. Butterfield's pretty much done whatever the Democrat Party has told him to do and when to do it, and never really focused on this district. What can you do if you're elected? To help turn the tide a little bit for the areas that has been struggling for years?
Well, I talk about this all the time. You can have a dream of there's going to be a whole bunch of Amazon jobs coming to this district. We got that down pat. But the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade kids that are not going to go to a four-year institution, we need to teach them how to read and write, be able to balance their checkbook, but then we need to send them to a vocational pod if that's what they're interested in. If they want to be an electrician, a plumber, a mechanic, a welder, or something like that, teach them a little bit of school and then do an apprenticeship. And what that'll do is you'll retain high school graduates. And then you'll also build a really good ethical workforce that knows what to do when they get out of school.
And they'll make a good living.
They'll make a really good living. It's been demonized to be a blue-collar tradesman like myself, but a lot of those guys make a whole lot more money than people who go to four-year institutions.
And they have a whole lot less debt.
Yeah.
So, well, I told somebody this week that you talk about your background and what you've done. I said, you know what, the Republican Party, and no offense to somebody like to have pocket squares, but the Republican Party's got enough pocket square Republicans in Washington. We need people that's actually done things and
got some callous on their hands.
Been a small business owner and knows what it makes to make a payroll really, and not just in the play world. But
and I started out. So I'm like I say, I was a contractor, and I was used to build highways. And when I got out of school in 1995 from North Carolina State, I didn't know what I wanted to do, whether I wanted to be a lawyer. Actually, I did think about going to law school, or be a dirt mover. That's what I call it. So I ended up starting a construction company with me and one guy and $4,000 in the bank, and grew it to me and 125 guys doing $20 million a year.
Impressive.
So, actually, like I say, that was leading a little bit too. And I think that's what we need. I think we need people who have done it themselves.
Created. Yeah, we've got too many people that have inherited their wealth and somehow thinks that they think that gives them a right of privilege. Your website is
BrentRobertson2022.com.
There you go.
And you can see me at Facebook at Brent for Congress on Facebook.
Well, listen, Brent, thanks for your Christian testimony. Thanks for your willingness, and I say this to everybody that comes in, for your willingness to run. It is... it's a little intimidating, and you make yourself very vulnerable to the world. And there's people that, some people love you, some people will hate you. But thanks for getting out there. And you've done part of your civic duty. Now, if you win, you'll have a whole lot more to do. But congratulations on getting this far, and we look forward to what happens next Tuesday.
Well, thank you, and I sure hope I win. Like I say, everybody needs to get out and vote for Brent.
There you go, Brent Robertson. If you're in District 2,
1.
I'm looking at your website, 2022. If you're in District 1, thank you, Brent. You can get out next Tuesday. I guess early voting is through tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Early voting through tomorrow, and Tuesday
and otherwise, get
day.
out on Tuesday. Thanks for coming in, Brent.
Yep.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you
Good
for
to meet
having
you.
me.
Thanks, Brent.
You bet. Stay with us, Benny, and I'll be right back.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Fantastic Sam's Cut and Color is hiring stylists. If you're driven, creative, and ready to make an impact, then we're looking for you. We offer competitive salaries, flexible schedules, and professional training with the newest technologies and equipment in the industry. Stop by your local Fantastic Sam's today and show us what you've got. Apply at locations in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Morehead City, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Fantastic Sam's, real salon experience, real savings, real fantastic.
Well, folks, it's only 8 a.m. and it's going to be another hot one. Today's high is 85 degrees with lows ranging in the upper 50s. Tomorrow's more of the same, plus some light wind coming in from the northeast. Coming up at 8:30, Paul's got an exclusive
Babe, it's 8 a.m.
Fried chicken, better with Pepsi.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville, do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers. Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
News and views. He's kind of a diva.
He's absolutely fascinating.
Ultimate gentleman spy. Irresistible to women, deadly to his enemies, a legend in his own time.
You won't believe what he's going to say next on Talk 96.3 and 103.7. Here's Tom Lempreck.
Welcome back in. News and views for a Friday. Boy, did you hear the Russian lawmaker out of Moscow, Russian State Duma deputy, sounds like deputy dog, Oleg Morozov.
His Russian names or something.
Yeah, I'm glad. Just give me a name like Smith or Johnson or Hardy. Of course, people think Lamprecht's bad. Anyway, this guy came out earlier in the week. The Prime Minister of Poland wrote a column for the Telegraph, really criticizing Putin, basically saying this guy's a cancer. And was quite critical, and also came out and said, listen, Russia will have to pay for all the damage they've done in the Ukraine. This guy comes out, this deputy dog comes out and says that, okay, Poland, you might be next.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did see that.
And
Poland's in NATO.
Yeah, oh yeah. And he said, you might be the next denazification country that we come to. We'll denazify Poland. So, yeah, he is now, I mean, nothing is for sure. Don't go bet your last dollar on this. I think it's saber rattling. You see what's happening over there. I mean, Ukraine is starting to turn the tide. I realize a lot of other things could happen, and it's not over till it's over. But right now, I think it's just saber rattling by the Russian government. They're withdrawing in certain parts, in certain cities that they had surrounded earlier. Now they're withdrawing from those cities, and it doesn't look good for Russia. But this individual is saying, "Okay, Poland, you might be next."
Yeah, I saw an article on the Blaze a day or so ago talking about Ukraine's defense budget and Russia's defense budget. And of course, I don't know if you can really believe any numbers that come out of there. Maybe it's just speculation, but they were saying that the Russian defense budget was like $65 trillion, and we're sending a $40 trillion aid package.
Billion. Huh? We're sending $40 billion.
Sending $40 billion, excuse me. But Russia's was only like $65
billion
on an annual. You
said trillion
basis.
the first time.
Yeah, on an annual basis, and I'm like, surely that can't be right, but.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so, but who knows?
Earlier today, Merrick Garland has directed U.S. Marshals to help ensure the justices, the Supreme Court justices. Now, the Supreme Court has their own Supreme Court police, but as you can imagine, that's a pretty finite, small group of police officers that make up the Supreme Court police. And so Merrick Garland finally, after receiving letters from both Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin as well as Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, because justices live in both those states, they sent a letter to the Attorney General, the head of the Department of Justice, and said, hey, do you want to follow the law? Could you follow the law, please? I mean, this is on the books. You need to protect the justices. Finally, Merrick Garland said, okay, we'll send out marshals to help. Also, there was a bipartisan bill that John Cornyn out of Texas put forward to ramp up security protections for the Supreme Court justices. I really don't understand. And by the way, it passed in the Senate. Bipartisan support passed in the Senate. It was sponsored by John Cornyn and Chris Coons of Delaware, who's a Democrat. But then it gets over to the House, and Steny Hoyer says, well, it doesn't go far enough. We need to protect the clerks. Well, the clerks aren't being threatened. There's no protest at the clerks' homes. You could just go ahead and pass this. But what I don't understand is why didn't Cornyn just pass a bill saying we're going to lock up Merrick Garland if he doesn't do his damn job?
Exactly. And why don't why don't the Republicans just come out and I think you can impeach an attorney general. I believe
they need to go for
that. But it's a federal law that's being violated. It's a clear federal law. I read it and it's like, hey, that's exactly what's going on.
It's black and white.
I know.
And again, the irony is on the January 6th quote insurrectionists. What laws did they break? Exactly what laws did they break? And that they're all locked up. These people are clearly breaking the law, and yet Merrick Garland really refused to do anything until he was forced to put in the corner. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We're on location today at Fabric and Home Furnishings, Arlington Village on Arlington Boulevard here in Greenville. One of my favorite places in town, one of my favorite people in town. My buddy Lisa Pendry is here. And Lisa, when I walked in this morning, the place always looks great, but there's something new here. You got a brand new room. Tell us what's going on.
We do, Henry. We are opening a Norwalk gallery, and we are so excited because this company is so custom. Been in business since 1902, built in Norwalk, Ohio. Tons of wood colors to choose from, over 900 fabric choices, and I've got a design team that can make it fabulous and help you find unique styles.
So when you say custom, a custom furniture line, what does that mean exactly?
You can literally choose the cushion, the fabric. You can even choose the thread color with this company. So wood choices, amazing fabrics, put 3 fabrics on 1 sofa, as much fun as you want to have.
And that's what people want these days. They want it to be exactly the way they want it, so you can get that with Norwalk.
You can.
All right, what else is new? You've always got some other interesting things going on here.
Well, we have some new fabrics that have arrived, but I've also, in this new showroom, I've added a friend of mine that's opened a company in Hickory, North Carolina called Hickory Lux. Done business with him for a long time, but we're adding to that because he can deliver in 6 to 8 weeks instead of 8 months like some of these companies are, doing right now.
And as we always say, Fabric and Home Furnishings is a furniture store and so much more. And the so much more is you guys offer design services. I know you're a designer yourself. You have a design team here, so you can offer that full service for people.
I do. I've got the best design team ever. We do commercial design and residential. And there's a lot of decisions that go into what you want your home to be. So we send somebody right out to the house for a flat one-time fee, not an hourly fee. And we analyze it, make a friend, and make it easy and painless and fabulous for people.
Fabric and Home Furnishings here in Arlington Village. My friend Lisa Pendry. It's a furniture store and so much more. Come see them.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Empty lots at car dealers everywhere, except here. The selection you want is at Greenville Nissan. And during the Nissan Thrill of the Drive sales event, buy a new Nissan with financing as low as 0.9%. The versatile Nissan Rogue, the all-new Pathfinder, or gas-saving cars like Nissan Sentra and Altima. And yes, we have trucks. Buy the new Nissan Titan with 0.9% financing, or the all-new Frontier for $99 a month. Hurry to Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
This is your Drive at 5 and ENC with Tom Lamprecht. Welcome back to News and Views on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
It is interesting how that 1st Congressional District race is making national news. Not in a good way, but it is making national news.
I'm afraid it's going to have whoever wins. Hopefully, I shouldn't say, but maybe whoever comes out of the race won't have a lot of baggage and just have a lot of red meat for the Democrats to pounce on in the fall.
Jen Psaki had her last day. Apparently she got emotional.
Circle back on that one.
Yeah, that was your famous line, wasn't it? Jen Psaki is gone. Karine Jean-Pierre is the new press secretary.
Trump
and
hater.
I don't care.
Trump hater, called Republicans racist.
Interestingly, the last day Jen Psaki was there, a story came out in PJ Media talking about a recent interview she had with the Christian Science Monitor. And as she reviewed her last days, she was complaining that she has been harassed. And people are protesting and people are calling her home. And she is scared for her 2 little children. And yet, at the same time, the same Jen Psaki has basically come out and said, hey, you want to go protest? Go protest the Supreme Court justices at their homes. Yeah, just keep it safe, keep it peaceful. Wow.
Typical Democrat.
Typical double standard. Hey, listen, have a great weekend. We'll do it again on Monday 5. See you then. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right, all right, all right.
What do you see when you imagine life on the coast? Is it salty or sweet? Is it refined or a bit wild? Perhaps it's the perfect combination of everything you ever dreamed of. This is the very best of the best of